Hello, viewers. My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Media Productions. Movie review.
Well, we got to watch The Flash.
Yeah. And before we start actually discussing the actual film itself, let's talk about The Flash in general.
Wow. Now, The Flash is definitely one of the pinnacle characters that is introduced in the DC Detective Comics universe. Being a pivotal member of the Justice League, the group that is devised of this variation of comics, best of the best, the heroes of heroes.
He is among the A-listers of basically all of superhero fiction. And the mere fact that it took such a long time for a theatrical release to even happen, is to say it was a long time coming is an understatement.
I mean, it's no point out there to say that under the banner of Warner Brothers, their handling of the DC characters has been a rocky road that we have all had to endure.
And and we can discuss a whole video or series about the multiple hurdles that came before this film.
Yeah.
But The Flash in general, is not his first time being live action.
No.
The actor Ezra Miller, this is his second official featured appearance as The Flash. After him doing the Justice League movie, both versions. Snyder's cut having him actually have a lot more prominent role than what the theatrical release was.
Then I would say probably maybe actually even a third, considering that you also got to count the little snippet that he was in.
He had 3 cameos in between installments. So Justice League and now this solo outing. And before that, The Flash had other live action appearances, primarily on television. And with that, we finally was able to have this first solo outing-ish with the release of The Flash in 2023. So what about this story? Well, after many years of development, the plot of the story that they decided to settle upon is inspired by the Flashpoint comic book back before the New 52 era began.
Now, for individuals who are not necessarily familiar with the concept of what that particular story involves, basically the Flashpoint series or that particular comic really evolved around the Flash, who at that time was already a fully established hero and an individual who is still grappling with the realities of what his upbringing had entailed, i.e. the loss of his mother and the incarceration of his father due to his mother's death, is struggling hard against the realities of being a hero and having to deal with these harsh life choices. Now, having the concept of super speed, he bolts out and in a fit of rage and confusion ends up running so fast that he flings himself into an alternate reality and changes the concepts of his past to better reflect a different future. But there are consequences to such actions that revolves into a multitude of issues brought through in this new concept of a multiverse or different reality.
The multiverse, a concept that has been flung around mainly through niche aspects in some sci-fi fantasy media.
Some people do it right, some people do it horribly. It's a mixed bag in and of itself as far as how somebody adapts the concept of having one particular reality versus another.
The Flash is actually in the comics in release back in the 60s. It's very famous for actually introducing this into mainstream comics. With the Flash Two Worlds story. And the reason why they decided to do this storyline of Flashpoint, which is more modern storyline depicted, is mainly because of the scapegoat due to the poor
foundation. The poor foundation that was, of course, the whole conglomeration of the DC EU cinematic universe.
And so, story structure for this 2023 solo outing for the Flash, it has to act as both introductory first film for the Flash, but because the plot that they decided to go with, it also acts like almost like a third film in a trilogy. Yeah. And there's a lot of for pacing concerns. The film is like 20 minutes over 2 hours. At first, it's a lot of information getting thrown at you because you're too busy having a lot of concepts. And at least for the first 2/3, how they handle it, tone-wise, ironically enough, is more plays off as a comedy for a lot of things, with the undercurrent lining of some serious drama underneath for the emotional resonancy.
I would say on that particular part, there are some giggles here and there, and a little nudge concepts that gets thrown into that. Some of it works. Again, I would say enough of it just didn't. But it doesn't necessarily distract you too much for what the story is trying to tell you.
Focus-wise, this is where we like the way to segue into characters. The core turmoil with Ezra Miller's version of the Flash is the core focus, and for the most part, they do that solidly.
Miller's portrayal very much focuses on the psychological aspects that accompanies trauma and loss.
And I wish there was like if there was like a real solo film instead of just a multiverse movie. Ezra Miller's how he interacts with his own supporting cast, like they are only introduced here. Yeah. With very brief appearances with characters that will probably normally populate his life are unfortunately not explored at all. So there are hints that where a Flash film would have gone with Ezra Miller as the lead, but I would say when they're able to go into the multiverse and basically examine him through the lens of also another version of himself, we still are able to have a good, decent character piece.
Yeah, I feel as though this is where the brilliance of the film truly lies. Miller knocks it out of the park, as far as I'm concerned, with the concept of truly embodying a individual who was split across two distinct realities, and how uniquely similar yet vastly different each individual is. You get a concept of how Barry 1 is and how Barry 2 is.
And when he's not trying to fix what he has started, we're trying to train something that happened to him in the past in his own reality. He does he just seeks out the person that, for the most part, is basically almost like a mentor figure, and it's in this version of Ezra. Yeah. This version of the Flash, and that's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I feel as though Bruce Wayne, as far as this particular adaptation is, at least with the version that was introduced in the Snyderverse, or the earlier adaptation of this DC Cinematic Universe, DCEU, with Ben Affleck, never really vibed with that character. And tonally, unfortunately, because of the way the movies were structured and released, there is a complete disconnect between how one portrayal of the character is compared to the others.
And now, with this multiverse of story, the Flash has to go and find this new version that he has yet to be of Bruce Wayne, that's more familiar with much older audiences through Michael Keaton's take back in the Tim Burton movies.
That is right. We are in that territory with this portrayal, who I feel is Michael Keaton almost as if he'd never even left the screen, knocks it right out the park with his coming back into the cowl and the cape. Wow, the way that he brings so much of himself into this film, and he's unapologetic about it. Yes, really makes a difference.
There is a time limit as far as time limit on the started goes, because for a while now, ever since Keaton left, there have been many different versions of live action Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So
spread throughout multiple years, and now it's the case in which this might have been nostalgic for a significantly older audience. Newer audiences don't know who that guy is and don't know why him being brought into this makes any sense or why is it important at all.
It's just that if like just for the matter of fact that this film by itself, Keaton, this is a good welcome return, but also a good send off for that character. There's a lot of Superman love as well.
Oh yeah.
Essentially, like it's taking the plot, the villain from the Man of Steel, flipped on his head with the reintroduction of a new version of Supergirl. Supergirl, a character whose first has live action appearance back in the 1980s, a failed film, played with Helen Slater as the lead. This time around, new up-and-coming actress Sasha Callie takes on the reins in this multiversal story. Plot-wise and how she starts the story, like we said, this film is inspired by the Flashpoint comic book, and virtually the way that they handle Superman is basically almost the exact same way they handle Sasha Callie's Supergirl.
Yeah.
As far as characterization is concerned, it is thinly written on her behalf, mainly also because she's mainly just introduced in the last third of this movie. To the point that she serves as a glorified plot point, a plot device. But from what she is from what we were able to see from her, it has some promising moments.
I could definitely see Sasha Callie going on and knocking it out the park. At least in what she was trying to give to us, she did a decent job.
Michael Shannon's return as Zod left to be a little to be desired. He's also mainly just a glorified plot point. Yeah, barely in the film actually.
Yeah, definitely barely. And I was the only thing I would say about this version is that I don't know if it does him any favors coming back in this particular manner. It definitely does make some things a little bit more certain in certain concepts, and definitely. I guess saying that it leaves a lot to be desired definitely is the word of the day on that one.
I would say for production wise, it is it's more of the media side of the discussion as far as whether or not a lot of people were even going to watch this movie and begin with.
There are a lot of things that this movie experiments with as far as what the Flash is capable of and what a story would involve of a character of his stature to be able to do and experience. Some of it works, especially when you look at certain concepts of how they try to portray what a speedster / individual with super speed is capable of doing. But there are plenty of instances in which the production, specifically the VFX, are concerned that just completely is a letdown.
It's unexcusable.
Yeah.
Like a brief description of how the VFX looks is that at times experimental, it looks actually sometimes I will say it really does look good to ultimately great. Then it got some like, okay, that's serviceable, good enough, and then
there are other times where it looks like, okay guys, this needed a lot more attention,
and it looks like they ran out. You could probably tell that, okay, we ran out of money in this regard. That should never be the case, and there's unfortunately quite a few places in this film where that is definitely seen. Should never be the case. This is a multi-$100 million film. We're trying to stay far away from discussing all the controversies surrounding this film. Yeah. But to say that probably a lot of films' budget probably went to address a lot of those issues, that will probably be understandable. But it's like we're talking about the film itself. What we got is what we got, apparently. Throughout the development process of The Flash has had multiple directors leave, multiple writers leave, come and go. The film, Warner Bros. Set upon Andy Muschietti as the one to take the reins officially. A lot of this stuff feels as though they understood understood the type of film they wanted to make. Ezra was trying to expand upon what he was doing with the Zack Snyder, basically taking the core concepts of what is faithful about Barry Allen, and doing some more unique touches from him as an actor who's done some very I'll say off-brand roles of himself, and try and create a fresh take on the character as well.
In so many ways, it is uniquely different, i.e. making the Flash a biracial character who was very much involved with their mental health, and making this concept of the Zen Buddhist philosophy about things on top of the incredible eccentric personality and possibly latent disabilities that they lie within it.
And if you look at some of the Flash media, and it's also comics, the Flash is also a character who actually also support his own criminal rogues gallery, and see see through it that they're able to get the help they need. So this is actually more of a way of which expanding upon that empathy
And
that Flash has with his own rogues, and also seeing it through other people.
Anybody from Warner Brothers is watching this, or is actually finally looking at the writing on the wall, and there has been quite a bit of it spread out on there. It's time to to do what is right for the brand.
Reboot it.
Yes.
So Flash 2023 by itself is a good time to watch. It's not the most perfect film in the world
by no stretch of the imagination.
Whatever happened, there's no apparently film criticism. There is no middle ground. But on this channel, there is degrees.
Exactly. Everything is not black and white. There are shades and hues to everything.
Is the Flash? It could have been worse.
Yes.
My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
And this has been the Community Productions.
As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell down there at the bottom for notification if you want to hear more from you. Did you go out there to actually watch this film? Do you actually plan on giving it a chance? Let us know down there at the bottom. Are you a fan of the DC Cinematic Universe, or where do you want to see it actually go? Well, I think at this moment, we all want to move on.
Yes, and also look at our social media outlets of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for content we don't necessarily post on this channel.
Because there's only so many times left in the day and not enough time to do it.
All right. See you again.